What's going on? Will Freeman, RevolutionaryLifestyleDesign.com, talking to you today about why the blue ocean strategy is bullshit. Okay, a few exceptions to that. You're going to hear them at the end of the video, so listen before you comment on that and tell me why you think the blue ocean strategy is great. Okay, because I'm not dogmatic. Always have the exceptions in there. And basically, what I want to do starting off is tell you what the blue ocean strategy actually is. It comes from a book of the same name. About starting a business in a market with no competition. Okay. Author, I'm sure, is perfectly well meaning. And it's a great idea to be able to do that. My problem just comes with the execution. Okay. Plenty of successful entrepreneurs who built massive markets, guys like Steve Jobs and guys like Mark Zuckerberg. Problem is, the difficulty and the probability is off the charts. Because the failure rate for businesses, depending on who you listen to, is already 90% on the high end, 60% on the low end over a 10-year period. Okay. And that, I mean, it's already difficult enough just to start a business, whether it's a Subway franchise, whether it's a service business, whether it's a product business. Just to make a business successful and continue to expand over 10 years is already difficult enough. All right. And depending on who you listen to, only 5 to 30% of businesses make over six figures. So the businesses that do succeed, the vast majority of them are small, probably one person, sole proprietorships, one man bands, making less than six figures. Okay. Because entrepreneurship is no joke. And I can tell you that attempting to start a blue ocean business is only going to make that harder on you. Okay. And I'm speaking to, if you already have a business, I'm still speaking to you. If you're already successful, that still applies, because a blue ocean business is an untested market. That's why there's no competition, because the market doesn't exist. You have to create that market. That's really what it is. And for every Facebook that creates a new market, there are a million failures. I'd love to be able to invent the next Uber. The second I heard about that, I thought, that's brilliant. That's going to put taxis out of business. The same thing with Airbnb. Brilliant. It won't put hotels out of business probably, but it's significantly cutting into them as competition. But the odds of me inventing an Uber would be the same odds of me being a movie star, which also I would like. But again, to be telling people to pursue that, something that is so low probability, I feel like that is not the best move. I want to be able to give the vast majority of you guys listening to this the highest probability chances to earn that 6 to hopefully 7-figure income. Okay. And I spent a lot of money and time trying to reinvent the wheel on my tech startup. Okay. And I'll tell you, we didn't make a dime off that. The vast majority of businesses in our accelerator didn't make any money. There was one buyout, and it was basically a $500,000 acqui-hire to get the developer. That's an acquire hire. They all got paid out 500 grand for 3 years work. That's 500 grand pre-tax. And the developer basically got a job out of it. They really wanted some of the code, and they wanted the developer. But there were no success stories. I don't think that accelerator exists anymore. Now, that's in Canada. I mean, Y Combinator has a ton of successes, but that is already recruiting the cream of the crop of the best potential startups in the world, and working from there. But for most guys, you're going to spend a fortune in time and money reinventing the wheel. I also spend a fortune, time, and money on trying to develop dumb product businesses that weren't quite reinventing the wheel, but it was like businesses that I would have, no place. I should have had no place in, because I didn't know what I was doing 10 years ago. Okay. So your best bet at a successful business that has a potential to 6 to 7 figures is a service business in a proven market. That's my opinion. Okay. And you can check out my article on 31 six-figure service businesses, or the video on YouTube. And you can get 6 figures out of the vast majority of online businesses, and 7 figures out of some if you scale and team build. Like, it would be pretty hard to get more than 6 figures out of copywriting business because it's so time intensive. And even getting to six figures is going to be a lot of your time. It's a lot of grunt work to get to seven figures. You need to scale into a staff and a team and payroll and all those things. Um, but when it comes to just pure highest probability of seven figures, the big three are real estate, insurance, and financial services. Now, I think financial services is kind of grimy because putting people into stocks, I think, if you check out my video and article on why the stock market won't make you rich, like most people don't have any business being into these instruments that these financial advisors, which is sales guys, are putting them into. Not all. I mean, some are selling index funds, or they're selling, you know, some type of retirement planning that's somewhat ethical or ethical. I don't want to throw everyone on the bus. I just think that a lot of that industry has some grimy stuff in it. But regardless, those are the big three in terms of making seven figures. Now, you're probably going to have to work a sales job for somebody who's already established in one of those industries to learn the ropes, to be able to train on their dime, to be able to learn to sell if you don't know how to sell, because that's the biggest skill. Okay, it's not a blue ocean business. It's learning how to get really good at sales. Because even if you have an online service business and your leads come to you through the internet, most of the time you're gonna have to close those people on the phone. Okay, and you're gonna have to know how to sell regardless. So that's the key ingredient. I've got a book, How to Sell. You can check it out, revolutionarylifestyledesign.com/products. The best training was, the same training that I went through, which is getting a sales job. Ideally, you do it much smarter than I did in an industry that you want to be in anyways, like real estate. One of my young readers got a real estate job at 18, I think. He was the youngest agent in his state. And he's going to be well positioned to either sell real estate on his own or really do whatever he wants. I think for a lot of guys, that's a much better move than university. By the time your friends are getting out of school in a ton of debt and having partied their way through it, you've had 4 years of sales experience, you have no debt, you have income, you have sales skills. After 4 years in like an outbound sales job, even if you hate that industry, real estate or whatever, you can go and build any service business up to six figures for sure. When you can sell, you've got probably one of the most marketable skills in the world. Okay. And even in some of the sales jobs, you can be making more than most entrepreneurs. Like my friends back home, all make more than six figures in sales. Guys making 250K is pretty standard once you've been at a company for a while and you've moved up, you've acquired books as people got fired, or you maybe moved into management. Now, look, I wouldn't want to spend my life in sales, definitely not. Management is definitely easier than being on the floor, and I'm thankful every day that I don't have a sales job anymore. But I'm saying from a financial perspective, like a good salesman is going to make more than like 90% of entrepreneurs, because he's already in a vehicle that's successful and has a proven strategy, but much more effective in terms of beating the failure rate for entrepreneurship is a service business, especially if it's your first business. Okay, if you've been an entrepreneur for 20 years, it's a different story. Even then, I'd probably lean away from trying to reinvent the wheel. Okay, you could test your hand at a product-based business when you have the money. Okay, but the reinvent the wheel, there's only a couple types of people who I think that's the right move for, which I'll get to in a second. So the idea behind the blue ocean strategy is you want to be first to market, which comes from the book, The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing, where if you're not first, you're last, and you want to be in a business with no competition, which is great. Okay, but it's a completely untested market. The markets that are competitive because there's a ton of money out there. Real estate is a $1 trillion industry, multiple $1 trillion industry. There's a ton of money out there. It doesn't matter that there's a ton of agents out there. There's a ton of agents out there because there's so much money out there. All you have to do is be better than those guys, sell harder, service your clients better. aim to be the best. Yeah, it's competitive, but you know what? Um, Anything that's if it was easy, everyone would have that financial lifestyle that they wanted. Even if you are first to market in something, it doesn't mean that you're going to own that niche. There's a ton of businesses that died in the tech boom in 1999 that might have been before Google. Search engines before Google, e-commerce stores before Amazon. So even in that deal, um, it doesn't mean it's not going to get competitive. Okay. You're always going to be dealing with competition, and it's about modeling success and getting ready to wake up and go in and expand and do better. Okay. Um, so, like, if you go hard and you service the AG double hockey stick out of your clients, master branding, marketing, advertising, you stay on your game, you're spending like an hour and a half a day on your education. Um, you're learning everything you can. You're making more cold calls. You're doing everything better. You're gonna succeed, period. Okay. And there's always gonna be room for that. There's always gonna be room for guys who are willing to do that. Because most people aren't. Most people, you know, they get to that increased level of resistance, increased level of pain. They're like, you know what, this isn't worth it. And they give up. And that's why the bulk of those businesses fail. Um, it's people giving up even if they're in the right market, okay, because it's difficult, but it gets easier over time. So the other problem with these blue ocean businesses is you can't model successful people. Yeah, you can go back and model titans of industries who've changed and created a market, but you can't model someone who's successful. If you want to sell real estate, you can you can get my book. You can go get Grant Cardone's training for sales, which is broad training. But now with YouTube and everything and all these micro businesses, you can go read books on specifically on real estate sales. You can, there's a ton of guys on YouTube who are doing, real estate sales gurus. So it's like micro niched and like broken down to, minute levels for you. And this didn't even exist 10 years ago. Otherwise, my learning curve would have been way shorter. You guys are coming up now with all this stuff on YouTube, and it's like it's the greatest equalizer of all time. You can see exactly how to build a real estate, sell real estate and make 6 to 7 figures by guys who've done it. And they didn't do it 40 years ago. You're not reading a book from the 70s. You're reading, and listening to guys who've specifically done it. Like you can get general stuff from me, but you can go ahead and get like step by step by step, whether it's courses or whether it's listening to guys' YouTube videos. Yeah, I mean, not everyone is created equal. Not all these guys are good or super ethical, but there are enough guys out there for you to literally get like a micro detailed game plan and model someone who's already done it, um, which is super cool. So it's a great time to be an entrepreneur or want to be an entrepreneur. Um, and you can't do that in a blue ocean business. You can't model success. And you don't want to spend your life savings and a year of your time on product development to find no demand for your products and that your blue ocean strategy was actually a mirage in the desert. You were wandering through the desert and you saw this blue ocean and the blue ocean turned out to be a mirage. Okay, we spent like a year on development and all these things in our tech startup, and it was like nobody wanted to buy it. Okay, and we put the marketing out there, and the marketing was break even. Now, look, our developer, we had some shots, some guys that wanted to buy our company, but in between those, our developer ran off because he wasn't super accountable. Again, that's another factor because in those types of businesses, you're probably going to need partners as opposed to service businesses, which you can go at as a sole proprietor. But the big thing was like, it takes a while to get that product to market when you're trying to reinvent the wheel and you don't know if there's a market, right? And you can double a lot of money and a lot of time only to find out, hey, people aren't interested in this thing. It's a big gamble. Um, that being said, there's two exceptions to the blue ocean strategy. One, you're already a wealthy and successful entrepreneur. Okay. Even better if you're a wealthy and successful entrepreneur who is in a venture capitalist firm. Okay. Like the guys who funded Airbnb and Facebook, the venture capitalists, they're an exception. Perfect. Okay, they've already succeeded in tech sales. They've got a lot of money. They can take a lot of shots with a lot of these different companies, and they can already select for the cream of the crop. They get some of these venture capitalists in Silicon Valley can literally look at the 100 best startup ideas in the world and choose 3 to invest in that year. Okay, if that's you, you definitely can succeed with the blue ocean strategy. If you're a wealthy and successful entrepreneur, but not a venture capitalist, you can take a shot at it if you think you have a great idea because you have the cash flow to shake it off. You want to put 500 grand into something, when you're worth 5 mil and you've got 2 to 3 income producing vehicles giving you, 70,000 a month or whatever. Sure, you can take that shot. You also can you know, be able to fund it without having to go through investors and that whole dog and pony show. You're also not going to have to do the grunt work yourself because you can hire a team, you can hire good programmers, money and being a veteran entrepreneur who's been through the fires and has succeeded would be the first exception of people who can take a shot at this. But even then, it's like probably not a shot as your sole business. It's not like you just close up shop on everything else. But so that would be one, and the other one would be if you have an exceptional IQ and your rock star programming skills, like the programmer that I worked with in my tech startup. Now he went off to get a $75,000 job, but that kid should be worth $10 million if he actually had a work ethic and accountability, because he did have that IQ, top of his class at one of the top Canadian universities, and had rock star programming skills. We couldn't replace him when he left. Same thing with Mark Zuckerberg, same thing with Bill Gates at the time, same thing with not Steve Jobs per se, but Steve Wozniak. So all those guys who created those machines and those blue ocean strategies. It doesn't have to be programming skills, but just if you're going into a different niche, but that exceptional IQ is a big one. Okay, I don't have it. I couldn't program a microwave. Set the time on it. It's not my deal. But if you do, I actually did a video on that, how to tell if you're exceptional. And I guess also, if you have that exceptional IQ, maybe you don't have the programming skills, but your family comes from money and you have a lot of connections. A few of those tech entrepreneurs did fit that mold. But that would be really it. It would be like, previous success on a quite a large level, or, a lot of money and connections, or, super high IQ with either rock star programming skills or like one like rock star ability in an area that's like very niche. And I'm not even talking about like you're a rock star salesman. I'm talking about some rock star like super niche thing that's basically genetically based. It's just going to be very hard for anyone else to match you in that area. So that's it. Just one last thing to talk about now. While it's not a blue ocean strategy, I have a client in a service business in a relatively new and like burgeoning market. He's actually leading that market and making a killing, and if you can find a market like this, you found the best of both worlds. It's not a blue ocean strategy, but it is a newer market. There is competition. There's always going to be competition but you have to be careful with that because it is still more of a gamble in the sense of will this market be enough for 6 to 7 figures? In case of my client, it definitely is, but you have to be careful with that. Probably better for your first business to stick to the script of the stuff that's proven. Almost certainly better, but it is an option. The other option, if you want to reduce competition, is to niche down your market. Like let's say you have a marketing company, for example, which is tons of competition in that, but you want to niche that down so you become the dental marketing company. And your website is dentalmarketing.com, your YouTube channel is dentalmarketing.com. When you're calling dentists in your area, it's we're dentalmarketing.com or whatever. Also easier because like you'll have um, the ads already ready. You're going to know the niche a lot better. You're going to know the sales script a lot better, specifically for dentists. Um, I'm not saying that's right for everyone. Sometimes it's better to go broad, depending on, I guess, what your goals are. But I'm just saying that is an option if we're talking about like restricting competition in what is like a big enough market, then you can niche down. Um, I would much prefer that you do that than trying to invent a market, reinvent the wheel. If you don't fit those exceptions, I truly believe it's going to cost you a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of headaches, and it's not the best way to go. Okay. That being said, if you want more help, holler at your boy, revolutionarylifestyledesign.com/coaching on expanding your business. Check out my product, how to sell, or just keep watching these free YouTube videos. Just make sure to subscribe and hit that little bell to get notifications whenever I have a new video out. Much love to you. Wish you all the best.